Sure, you want to take a look at these rings that I'm making?
Yeah.
So I got a bunch of them here.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm just basically kind of putting a little design on there just to kind of jazz them up a little bit so that they look a little bit more interesting. And
so tell me how it got started, the putting these art pieces onto the meters.
Well, I just thought, well, maybe kind of a nice idea to put some kind of retaining device on there so that they can't get the old one off. And I guess if they can't get the old one off, then they can't really put a new one on. So I thought, well, you know, let's just indicate that I like my old one, that I want to keep my old one.
Right.
That my old one, I'm going to embellish. And it's sort of like putting a little bling on it. You know, it just looks a little bit kind of alive and more interesting.
And so when the hydro people come to try and replace it with their new smart meters, they can't.
Well, they're not supposed to take off stuff that homeowners put on. Right?
Okay.
If you put on something and screw it to the wall, then for them to take it off, they're vandalizing your personal property.
Really?
Right?
Even if it's on their meter?
Yeah. It's their meter, but it's my stuff that's on the meter.
Right, right.
And if they want to mess with my stuff, they got to talk to me. And they're
Right.
not authorized to do that, so they just go to the next guy.
Right.
So they say that if you put a sign up there saying,
Right.
please don't take my old meter away, I like my old meter, they've been known to ignore that.
Right.
That's what I've heard. I don't know if it's true, but just as a little added insurance, people are actually taking chains and wrapping around and locking them and bolting them to the house. And that seems a bit aggressive to me, so I'm kind of hoping that a little bit of art to embellish it would be kind of a lower key, sort of a blessing on the retention of my old meter kind of a thing, rather than get lost.
Have they come to your door yet?
They haven't.
No.
I have never heard hide nor hair of the guys, but I did get a letter in the mail saying that they're going to come along shortly.
Okay.
And I better make sure that there's no obstructions in the way.
Right.
Like they said, you better get that plywood off there before we come. Or
Right.
It's going to be a real hassle for us. We won't be able to put our new fancy new meter on. I'm fully expecting there to be a huge marketing program that they say, you've got to have a smart meter or else you're going to be done.
Right.
Or you'll not be able to take advantage of all these other different opportunities that come from having a smart meter, being part of a global smart grid, and being part of a whole unified global society that's all plugged into the same level of consumption and awareness of the importance of the economy and all of these things that people like you and me are a little bit suspicious about.
Well, they make it seem like it's no big deal, right? Like, oh, we just take it, a few times per day, and it's not gonna, the radiation or whatever is not gonna affect you or your family, and it's just gonna it's gonna help you. And, if there's a power outage, we'll be able to get to your place a lot sooner and help you. So they're kind of making it this real, benign thing.
Yeah, it's marketing, right? They're marketing. And they better market because, we don't really trust them and we don't really believe what they have to say, so they're going to have to use all of their marketing skills and employ some real sort of gentle sales approach to convince us, because we're already kind of convinced that this is all part of some big kind of monopolistic agenda that doesn't necessarily have our best interests at heart. It's got something to do with their shareholders' best interests, as far as I can tell. And who knows?
Right.
Who knows what could be behind it? I know that there's lots of, conspiracy theorists and alarmists and people that are really quite freaked out about the privacy issue and what it all might lead to. I'm not entirely sure about that. I just don't feel like until there's like the necessary level of discussion and agreement, we should be just forced to be exposed to this potential. Even if they swear up and down there's no potential for hazard or harm, some people have determined that there is some harmful effect. And to cell phones and to all these different microwave energies that are having effects on people's health. And it's one thing to say, there's nothing you can do about it. It's just a modern era, and yeah, if you have to put up with a migraine headache or backache or cancer or whatever the heck it is as a result of all of these radiations that we're being exposed to, well, then maybe we shouldn't be quite so civilized. Maybe we should back off a little bit on our technology so that our health is primary.
Do you see this as a movement, kind of? Do you see this growing? People becoming a little more aware of maybe not just smart meters, but maybe just in general of what corporations and what government are doing or making us do without any consultation, without any public.
Well, you know, we saw a movie the other night called Thrive. I don't know if you've seen that yet.
No.
It's kind of a documentary about, you know, pretty much how the corporatocracy has virtually taken over the world, and how we are, you know, pretty much to man, every person on the planet subservient to some kind of a corporate interest.
Oh yeah.
And the corporations have somehow managed to infiltrate and dominate the agenda of the governments. So the governments are no longer there elected to be supportive of their constituents. That's just what they play at and pretend to do. But what they do more than anything is placate and console us and keep us in a state of sort of subservience and on the edge of being fearful. All right, when the RCMP bangs on the door, what happens? Ooh, heart starts to go. That's what my fear is. My fear is that we might be perfectly positioned to take a leadership role in making this planet the way we all want it to be. And if we don't, ain't nobody else going to. That's my fear. So I figure, well, you know, how can I step up? How can I do anything? You know, I mean, I can just sit here in a room and do my art over and over again. But
I mean, that's what attracted to me when I saw the article in the paper, was that you were helping to try and create some momentum of movement in a creative, non-violent way. And that attracted me. You know, instead of you know, like attacking it with violence.
I don't want to attack anything. I want to support something, and I want to, you know, that's what I decided a while back. I thought, okay, I could either oppose something and give it energy and probably perpetuate it. That's just the nature of the way I direct energy. If I directed at anything at all, it's going to perpetuate, it's going to make it more real for me. If I oppose something, it's just going to resist. But if I find something else that I like better and focus my attention on supporting it, and encouraging, nurturing it, loving it, well, then that's more powerful, and that very well could replace that other without even paying any attention to that other that I don't like.
So these symbols that you're creating, you're saying, could possibly awaken something in our subconscious?
Well, I've read that. I mean, I've read that, you know, among other people that have studied crop circles, and a lot of people really do believe that there's something kind of profoundly transformative about the effect of these symbols on our developing psyche, or on our subconscious, or maybe they're facilitating our return to a more conscious state. You know, more of a, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think that they're helping us to transform as a species. You know, as a species goes through any kind of a massive transformative evolutionary process, there necessarily needs to have some kind of symbology or some teachings, or it's got that subtle sort of geometric pattern. I don't want it to be like blazing at you, this geometric pattern. I want it to be a bit more subtle, because I think it's a very powerful symbol, and I think that symbol might be, you know, as powerful as a swastika, for example. And it doesn't have the same historical connotations, but you know how some symbols are much more powerful than others, and that to me looks like a big food forest. It looks like, if it was life-size, perfect labyrinth, because we've got 9 on the outside and 6 on the inside. So the way the 9 lines up with the 6 is kind of like a random, not really repeating sort of a pattern. So to walk this labyrinth would probably take quite a while. You could have quite a nice time. And the 6 flavors of food, right? All foods break down into 6 basic flavors. That would be a wonderful example of all the different herbs and plants that are of these different flavors. And these could be individual fruit tree plots, and you know, with the understory of different planted things, and vines and vineyards, and this could be whatever's around it. But to be able to walk into there and get lost in this beautiful food forest, I think would be a beautiful thing to build. Pretty much on any school field.
That would be beautiful.
And then have, you know, the school kids and the grandparents all working in there and keeping the garden harvested. Eventually, that's probably all it would need doing.
You're almost creating blueprints as well.
Yeah. Well, that whole symbol is, you know, represents a lot of ideas for me. Hello. Hi.